Warnock is up by a couple of points in the polls. One never knows. There has been a lot of early voting.
And just from like my sense of the Democrats' urgency or lack thereof, my sense is they're not that concerned. I mean, still everybody please vote. But like Herschel Walker inexplicably took 5 days off when the election's right around the corner for Thanksgiving, and his Republicans were kind of raising their eyebrows at that. There's just not a lot of energy coming from the Walker side.
I'm sorry, you don't take 5 days off. Yeah. In a runoff election where there is like 4 weeks to campaign, you don't take almost one quarter of that off.
Yeah.
Unless there's something gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Warnock is not even, it hasn't even really been able to vote since the election in the Senate because he's campaigning so hard.
Yeah.
Obama was with him last night campaigning. But even besides the days off, like, he's still doing his weird, chaperoned appearances on Fox with Lindsey Graham. And the Daily Beast, Roger Sollenberger, came out with yet another story that a woman that he was dating said that he almost physically assaulted her and then made her fear for her life. And to top all that off, he said in a campaign event in January that K-File from CNN, Andrew Kaczynski, detailed that he literally said to these Georgia college Republicans, "I live in Texas."
Oh, yeah. No, we played that the other day, actually.
Right.
Yeah, we played that clip where he said, I decided to run, and I was sitting in Texas because I live there, and oops. But here is, I don't know. We've been tracking this guy. He's lieutenant governor in Georgia. We've been tracking sort of his comments over the past couple of weeks and months, really, as he's been like, really, it seems hard for him to accept the fact that he would have to vote for Herschel Walker. And now, there's this.
I showed up to vote this morning. I was one of those folks who got in line and spent about an hour waiting. And, it was the most disappointing ballot I've ever stared at in my entire life since I started voting. I had two candidates that I just couldn't find anything that made sense for me to put my vote behind. And so I walked out of that ballot box showing up to vote, but not voting for either one of them.
Oh, all right.
Now,
he waited an hour to not vote.
I mean, come
I like
on.
the conceit that he showed up to vote and then was like surprised that,
Yeah, and then I
It's so
realized
theatrical.
sucks.
It's so theatrical.
No, yes. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I got there and then I looked at who the candidates were. I had no idea. No, he had to do that, right? I mean, this guy's been playing this for weeks and weeks, but it just is not, it cannot be helpful. And, this guy could have done, and also keep this in mind, he didn't have to go early.
No.
He could have done this. I went in at 5:00 tonight on Tuesday, and I got in line and I waited for an hour because I wanted to show that I was committed to voting. This wasn't just about me, wanting to to take the time to go out for lunch. And then I couldn't vote. And he could have done that, but he's basically like signaling to other Republicans 4 days out, I'm a Republican elected official, and I couldn't even vote for the guy.
And it's just so unsubtle because he's been doing like this for weeks and weeks. There was no, I'm going to weigh my options and go into the ballot box.
This was so hard for me.
Yeah,
I spent an hour in line thinking about this.
This is just he's really enjoying going on CNN and MSNBC or wherever it is and crapping on Herschel Walker.
It would be great if he was really smart.
Right.
He would do this every day.
Yeah.
He would do it tomorrow. He would go in line today again and say, you know what? I went back. I slept on it. I went back and I waited in line for another hour. And then when I got to the vote booth, I can't do this.
You know
and
how much goodwill.
And then he would do it again. And he would do it again.
Yeah. You know how much goodwill though that this kind of stuff might engender with someone like Mitch McConnell, who really wants the party to move away from the Trump wing. Georgia is a very interesting case because Trump put them on the spot with the 2020 election, was like, can I find this number of votes? Can you do it? And so the Republican power structure in Georgia doesn't like Trump. And it's one of the only places where that's actually effective. And so he's doing National Republicans a service by rejecting some of these Trump proxies and like Trumpism in general. So was Raffensperger.
And to your point there, for both Raffensperger and Duncan here, Raffensperger might be a little older, but Duncan's only 47. These guys, I'm certain, as you're saying, as long as McConnell's in power, are probably trying to set themselves up to be the next guy that the Congressional Leadership Fund or Senate Leadership Fund will tout against Ossoff or Warnock or whoever, if Warnock
This
happens
is
to
what
run
he's
up.
doing. I mean, I would put, I don't know what the odds would be on that, right? Like for
Sean McAleer.
next Republican nominee for Senate, I'm I'd place a small wager on it.
I was thinking
in theory.
similarly.
Yeah. Anyway.
There you have it. We'll see. We will, and that 51 votes. I mean, don't know how, what material difference it makes right now, but it's nice to have at least a cushion. And it's certainly going to make a difference in terms of judges.